Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and welcome back to another one of my Q&A videos. Like last Q&A, there were a lot of people who asked the same question or very similar questions, so I'm going to answer all of those questions at the beginning of this video, and then move on to the rest of the questions. So if you try to look for your questions and realize that not all of your questions are in the same spot, it probably means that there are some, or maybe one, that's at the beginning of this video, because other people asked that question as well. But anyway, that's enough introduction. Without further ado, here it is, the Rappter Q&A number 23. I hope you guys enjoy. Do you have a favorite matchup? Even though the matchup that I most want to see done by Death Battle is Galactus vs Unicron, I think my favorite matchup in general right now is Stitch vs Rocket Raccoon. I just really like the connections between the characters, and I really like both of the characters. I just think it'd be a fun fight. If you had the ability to animate, would you animate for who and why? Or do you think you will get an animator for it at some point? I would love for animation to be a part of the show, but unfortunately I do not know how to animate at all, and I'm not really in any good position to pay an animator or anything like that, so it just doesn't seem super attainable right now. And I get this kind of question a lot, you know, like, do you want to do animation for the show? And I feel kind of bad because it makes me feel like I'm not living up to some kind of expectation for versus shows. So I would love for animation to be a part of it. I'm just not sure if it can be right now. If a zombie apocalypse ever happened, what would you do? I would probably ask the zombies which zombie video game or movie is the most accurate. And then I would probably die. If you could have one superpower, what would it be? I've wrestled with this question a lot. Sometimes the answer for me is teleportation, sometimes it's super speed, sometimes it's something completely different, but I think the power I would want to have right now is flight. I just see all those superheroes flying, and I think that would be so fun to do, just fly in the air, you know, just to be able to do that. I think that would be really, really fun. How have you been lately? How was your day? Wow, 3 different people asking me this question. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, no, I'm doing really well. I just had a really nice lunch, and now I'm filming this Q&A. I'm having a lot of fun. Let's just hope that my allergies don't prevent me from finishing this video. What is one character you want to see return to Death Battle? I would probably say Doom Guy or Doomslayer, just to see how much he's grown since the last time we saw him on the show. It doesn't have to be against Master Chief again, but just to see him come back I think would be really cool. Would you rather have super speed, super strength, elasticity, or invisibility as a superpower? Like I said earlier, super speed has always been one of my top tier superpowers. I just think it would be so fun to have. I think it would be really awesome. So out of all of those ones, I would probably say super speed. Which do you prefer, punching or kicking? I like both, but I would probably say that I prefer punching. I like leaving my legs free for things like moving and dodging and stuff like that, whereas it's harder to do that when I'm kicking. So for that point alone, I would say punching. If Death Battle were to bring in more MonsterVerse or Godzilla characters, which character do you think they would bring in, and what matchup do you think would work well for that character? I think they could bring in King Ghidorah and have him fight Fin Fang Foom. I think that would be pretty fun. I also think it would be cool if they brought in King Kong, but as of right now, I'm not really sure who I would like to see King Kong go up against. But yeah, that's my answer. Can you think of a definitive number of times a character could come back to Death Battle? Death Battle has said before that they would only have the same character come to Death Battle 3 times maximum. I don't know whether or not this is a really strict rule or if it's a more loose rule that could change later, but yeah, that's what they say for now. Could Death Battle delve into sentient vehicle fights like Thomas the Tank Engine or Lightning McQueen? I think Death Battle could do that. I don't really see any reason why they couldn't do it ever, but I'm not really sure when they would do it. It might be something they want to save for later, or it might be something they're working on right now. I really have no way to say for sure. What is your favorite weapon? If we're talking about standard weaponry, then I would probably say any kind of blade, like a sword or a dagger or something like that. But if we're talking about like all weapons that exist in fiction, then I would say the Infinity Gauntlet. Who do you think the next character to appear 3 times on Death Battle will be? My guess would be Thor, because a lot of people really want to see Thor versus Vegeta, and I wouldn't be surprised if that episode is going to come out relatively soon. So I could be wrong, but I'm going to go with Thor. If John Wick came to Death Battle, who do you think would face him? I don't know how many potential opponents John Wick has, but the opponent that I see talked about most often, at least for me, is Agent 47. I don't really know that much about either character, to be honest, but based on the sheer popularity, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the battle that they went with. Do you think DC will lose to a non-Marvel character this season of Death Battle? If so, can you think of a fight where that happens? There are only 8 spots left of Season 8 after Link vs. Cloud, so meeting that specific criteria might be a little unlikely, but still, it's definitely possible. And for a fight like that, I guess I would say Doomsday versus SCP-682. A lot of people seem to be in agreement that SCP-682's true form is just too much for Doomsday. Are you more interested in playing Overwatch or Team Fortress 2? I would probably go with Overwatch just because I think its general concept is more up my alley. Not saying that Team Fortress 2 looks bad, it actually looks really fun, but of the two, I would probably go with Overwatch. Who do you think is the most powerful character in fiction? Well, at that point, you really just have to look at the literally omnipotent characters of different universes, like the one above all in Marvel, etc., etc. Keep in mind though, I don't know all the universes and I don't know all the characters, so there might be some character who is somehow above omnipotence or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, your safest bet is to just go with characters that are literally described as being omnipotent. Why are we here? Well, all of you guys are here because you apparently have nothing better to watch on YouTube, and I'm here because I have nothing else in my life that gives me joy, so good times. What's a really funny death battle idea in your opinion? For me, a really amusing fight has always been Inigo Montoya from The Princess Bride versus Puss in Boots from Shrek. I just think it'd be a really fun fight to see, and they actually have some really solid connections. I think it would just be great. What's a matchup that you like that you feel is overhated? I would probably say Piccolo versus Martian Manhunter. It's not one that I love. I don't think it's like the best fight in the whole world, and I know there are some people who do really like it, but I know there are also a lot of people that do not like it at all. They want to stay away from it as much as possible, and I don't really think it really deserves that. I don't think it's that bad of a fight, so I don't love it, but I do think that it is a bit overhated. What's the weirdest character you want to see? We may have different definitions of weird, but I'm going to say the Kool-Aid Man. And since there's a lot of speculation that Macho Man versus Kool-Aid Man might be happening in Season 8 of Death Battle, I may actually be getting my wish. So yeah, there we go. What character from The Incredibles would you like to see on Death Battle, and who would you like to see them fight? I would probably like to see Mr. Incredible above all else. I just think it'd be really cool to really delve into how strong he is and how fast he is, etc, etc. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And for who he could fight, I was thinking maybe All Might, because they're both like the best of the supers and everything like that. But I've also seen a lot of people say Mr. Incredible versus Soldier 76. I don't know that much about Soldier 76, but as long as it works, you know what, that's fine with me. So I don't really know who we would fight, but I think there are some ideas. What is your favorite movie of all time? This does change somewhat frequently, but most of the time I think it's The Lion King. It was one of the earliest movies I ever saw, and I still love it to this day, just like the way it's structured, the music, I love everything about it. It's just such a great movie. Do you think a fight between all of the Death Battle memes could make a good Bad Battle episode? That's definitely an interesting idea. As of right now, I'm not really sure how that would really work, but you know, I could consider looking into it, so, you know, we'll see. What are your thoughts on Sarah Connor versus Claire Redfield? That sounds like it could be a really fun fight. I definitely know a lot more about Sarah than I do about Claire, so I'm not really sure who would win or what the dynamic of that fight would be like, but still, if that fight was announced for Death Battle, I'd be down. Do you have any special events planned for the 5-year anniversary of Who, When, and Why? The video that I made for the 5-year anniversary was kind of supposed to be it. I didn't really have any other big plans for it, so I'm open to other ideas, but I might not have the time to be able to do any of them, just because I still have to focus a lot on the other things that are going on the channel, but who knows, we'll see. What battle royale would you like to see on Death Battle? For me, that would probably be a battle royale between the Fantastic Four, mostly because I really love all the Fantastic Four members, and I really love how all their powers are so different and how they would clash together. I think it would be really fun. So I don't know if it'll ever happen on Death Battle, but still, I think it would be awesome. If you were invited to be on Death Battle cast, would you accept the offer, and what fight would you choose as the community Death Battle? Yes, 100% I would absolutely accept the offer. I think that would be so fun. It would be such a great opportunity. And for the community death battle, I would probably go with Inigo Montoya versus Puss in Boots, just because it's really silly, and I think that would be the only time I would actually get them to talk about that fight. So yeah, that's what I would say. Who is your favorite fellow death battle reactor? He doesn't react to a lot of death battles anymore, but I would probably say Riz Grestar. I've been watching his videos for a very long time, both his death battle reactions and a lot of his gaming videos. I just think he's a really solid guy, so yeah, I would probably say him. Would you join the death battle research team if you were asked, since your research is one of the best? First of all, thank you so much. I'm not sure if I would say that about myself, but I do really appreciate that. And secondly, yes, I would absolutely join. It sounds like an amazing opportunity to actually be able to work with Death Battle to even just a small capacity. I think it would be amazing. So yes, I would definitely join. What series do you think is underrated that might need to have a Death Battle episode? I would probably say Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There are a lot of people that do know about the show and like it, but there are also a lot of younger people that don't really know about the show, but I think if Death Battle introduced them to Buffy, they would start watching it and they would actually really enjoy it, because it is really a good show that still holds up in my opinion, at least in most areas. So yeah, I would say Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Are you surprised we haven't seen more Bleach characters on Death Battle? I am pretty surprised we've only gotten one character so far, since it is a really popular anime. However, Madara vs. Aizen might be happening soon. It might or might not be, I don't know. I know a lot of people really want to see that one, so it might change soon. Who knows? Would you ever go jellyfishing with Wiz and Boomstick? Only if Dummy comes with us, because then the three of us can just get him stung over and over and over again. Did you ever anticipate that Who, When, and Why would go on for 5 years? This might be a bit surprising, but I'm actually gonna say yes, just because I never really thought that I would stop YouTube by this point in time, and I was right, I'm still going with it even now, and I never really thought that I would have to stop Who, When, and Why on the channel unless something really bad happened, or unless for some reason I didn't really feel like I could do it, and I didn't really ever get that feeling. So yeah, I really figured I would do Who, When, and Why as long as I was doing YouTube. So it might be a bit weird to say, but yeah, I did think I would get this far. Can you name 5 obscure franchises that you want to see in Death Battle. These probably aren't very obscure because I don't know that many obscure franchises, but I would say The Umbrella Academy, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Trick or Treat, Zombieland, and Sharknado. Why not? Lord Drakken versus Omazeo. Yay, may, or nay? Right now I'm gonna say may, but only because I don't know those characters very well. But because there are so many people who really want to see that matchup, or at least from what I can tell, I think that if I learned more about the characters, I would probably lean more towards yay. But right now I'll just say may. Who do you think Lord Drakken from Power Rangers could fight on Death Battle? Apparently there are a lot of potential opponents being thrown around for that guy. Like there's Omazeo, as we mentioned before, but there's also Batman Who Laughs, Reverse Flash, Enerjack, a lot of opponents. I would probably go with one of the first two over the second two. That would be my preference. But yeah, that's just me. If you had to pick a matchup between Akuma, Garu, and Rao, which would it be and why? I'm not really sure how close those potential sure how to judge from there, but I would probably say Akuma versus Rao just because I really like Akuma and I would like to see more Fist of the North Star characters, but I don't know if that would be really the best matchup of those three characters. I don't know. That's just me. What are your thoughts on Schuma Gorath versus Cthulhu as a matchup? To me, that sounds like a really cool idea. I think it could be really fun if it was pulled off correctly, but that being said, I have no idea who would win. I just think it'd be fun. How do you feel about Rick Sanchez versus Dr. Doofenshmirtz as a death battle idea? I know a lot more about Doof than I do about Rick personally, so it's a little hard for me to judge, but still, based on what I know about the characters, I think it could be a really fun fight if it was pulled off correctly. Do you think Death Battle would do Perry versus Skipper at some point? That is one that has been talked about for quite a while, so I definitely think it could happen. I don't know if it would happen this season or next season or even the season after that, but I think it could happen at some point. Do you think Ben 10 versus Green Lantern Remastered will happen at some point? That's a little hard to say. I'm not sure whether or not Death Battle is actually planning on doing any more remastered fights, and if they are, I don't know if they would want to remaster Ben 10 versus Green Lantern, especially since it was so recent, relatively speaking. So it could happen, I guess, but it probably wouldn't be for a very long time if it did ever happen. Am I going to get banned? Only if you don't admit what you did. I'm waiting. Sonic Speed and Extra Weed. Yes, I too am looking forward to the second Sonic movie. What is your favorite letter? I'm gonna say the letter T, and I don't really know why, but I'm gonna say the letter T. Who would win in a boxing match, you or your brother? Oh, definitely me. I got the good boxing gloves. What did you take? This is either referring to my crime history or to Iron Man vs. Lex Luthor. And either way, the answer is everything. Please tell me it isn't a cardboard box. Hey, no one likes you, Otacon. You better keep quiet or you're gonna get a cardboard box of your own. What's your favorite indie game? I don't play too many indie games if I'm being honest. I might just say Cuphead because I do like the character well enough, but I really don't play too many of those games. Do you think Death Battle will ever use a literature character? This is hard for me to say because I know they've been against doing those characters before, but I could definitely see that changing. But at the same time, I could just see them sticking with that rule. It's really hard for me to lean one way or the other. I don't have any more information. So they might do it, but they also might not do it. It's hard to say. Dogs or cats? I personally say dogs, but if you disagree, then you're just wrong. What is your favorite pizza flavor? I usually just prefer pepperoni pizza over the other kinds, but ideally also with extra cheese and bacon crumble. That is my ideal pizza. Would you ever swim with sharks if given the chance? As long as I knew that I was doing it safely, yes, 100% absolutely. I think that would be such an amazing experience. And plus, who wouldn't want to be able to say that they actually got to swim with sharks? That would just be awesome. What is one moment in fiction that you look back upon as one that made a series worth watching? For me, that is the whole Hiccup's dad death sequence from How to Train Your Dragon 2. I am so shocked that they actually went in that direction, that they actually decided to go that way, but I absolutely love it. I think it was executed brilliantly. It is one of the reasons why How to Train Your Dragon is one of my favorite animated movie series, and why How to Train Your Dragon 2 is just one of my favorite movies of all time. I just think it's so cool. I think it really works so well with the series. I just think it's great. Have you ever seen Galaxy Grudge Match? And if so, do you have any scenario-based battle ideas for it? I believe I have heard of that, but I have never seen it, no. However, it does seem really interesting, so I might give it a try later. What is your favorite animated film series? I think it would probably either be Kung Fu Panda or Toy Story. But like I said before, How to Train Your Dragon is also really high up there. Who is a Marvel or DC character that you relate to the most? I would probably say Spider-Man, just because I know what it's like to have to juggle so many things at once, and I know what it's like to be really hard on yourself for your past mistakes. I can't think of any other superhero or villain that I relate to more than Spider-Man, so I would say him. What is an underrated movie in your opinion? I would have to say The Karate Kid Part 3. I know a lot of people really don't like it. They think it's the weakest out of the first three movies, but I actually quite like it a lot. I think the relationship between Daniel and Miyagi is the strongest out of all of the movies, and I just think it's really well structured. I think it's a really enjoyable movie. I know a lot of people will disagree with me on that, but still, still, I just think it's a really good movie. What's your favorite DBX episode? For me, it's Ronald McDonald versus Colonel Sanders, because it's just craziness and ridiculous in every sense of the word, and in my opinion, that is DBX at its best. So I would say that one. What do you think will explain the multiverse in the MCU? They're probably either going to explain it in Spider-Man No Way Home or in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, or maybe some combination, or maybe other movies as well, I don't know. But if you're talking about how they're going to explain how the multiverse operates within the MCU, technically there is no such thing as the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse, because the Marvel Cinematic Universe has its own number, like how Marvel 616 is the main comic timeline. The MCU has its own number, 199,999. Those two things, the main comic timeline and the MCU, are part of the same multiverse. So technically, whatever alternate dimensions you bring in for these movies will still also just be in the general multiverse, you know what I mean? This was a really long answer, sorry about that. But yeah, so it will be explained at some point. I don't know when, and I don't know exactly how, but yeah, it'll happen. US Agent or KG Beast? If you're talking about a one-on-one fight, I would say that US Agent probably has better strength and speed feats, but I'm not really sure. And plus, KG Beast might have something that actually turns it in his favor, but for now, we'll go with US Agent. Have you ever read comic books in the bathroom? If you have not read comic books in the bathroom, then you are not invested enough. Get your priorities straight. Why is green your favorite color? I don't really know. I guess I just really liked it when I was a kid and I kind of latched onto it. I like the way it looked outside, like in nature and stuff like that. I thought that looked really cool, especially with like the sun shining. I just thought it was a really nice color. And plus I do actually like a lot of green fictional characters and superheroes, so that probably plays into it a little bit. Would you rather be a Jedi Master or Sorcerer Supreme? I would probably say Sorcerer Supreme. There would be a lot more pressure on me most likely, and I would have to deal with much greater threats, but I'd be able to do a lot more as Sorcerer Supreme than as a Jedi. And that's really what matters to me. The Ginyu Force versus the Black Order. Based on the kind of characters that they are and the worlds that they're in, I want to say that the Black Order would probably win, but maybe I'm missing something about the Ginyu Force that really puts it in their favor. I'm not 100% sure, but I would say the Black Order for now. After learning about Steven Universe in the Death Battle, what are your thoughts on him? Steven Universe seems like a really nice, genuine, well-developed character in what seems like a really good show. I wouldn't actually mind trying the show at some point if I ever had access to it and if I got the time to watch it. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but still, he seems like a really cool character. Why do you like Nightcrawler? I remember learning about him when I was really young, like learning about his look and his powers and everything like that, and I was just really intrigued. And after I saw the opening scene of X2, it was just a done deal. I fell in love with the character, and yeah, I've just never stopped loving him. Saitama versus Squirrel Girl. If we're just looking at these characters and their feats, like a normal versus debate, then Squirrel Girl would definitely win. She's just done way more impressive things. But if you really want to look at their gimmicks instead and judge it that way, then Saitama is known for beating anyone on screen, and Squirrel Girl is known for beating anyone off screen. So if the fight happened on screen or on panel, then by that logic, Saitama would win. But if it happened off screen or off panel by that logic, then Squirrel Girl would win. Herobrine versus Monica. I personally think that Herobrine could just get the job done quicker, but I don't know that much about these characters, so I could be completely wrong. But yeah, I'll just say that for now. Was there a show you really liked that started out great, but had a horrible series finale? I feel like WandaVision kind of falls into this camp for me, at least a little bit. Spoilers, by the way, if you haven't seen it yet. I was really liking the beginning of the show, and I was liking all the setups and all the teases, etc, etc. But by the end of the show, none of the teases or setups amounted to anything. And I know that a lot of people were blowing everything out of proportion. They were expecting things that was clearly not going to happen, etc, etc. But still, I feel like they knew what they were doing with a lot of these teases. Like they were doing them on purpose, and yet they still amounted to nothing. It seems like they were intentionally trolling us again and again and again. So I feel like a lot of it is on them as well. I don't know. It's not really the finale specifically, it's just more how the show progressed. I don't know. It was kind of disappointing after a while. I was kind of getting frustrated. What was the most fun birthday you ever had? Back in the day, we used to go on vacation for my birthday, which was technically also my brother's birthday. And there was one time when we were turning 13 that we went down to Florida and we went to both Disney World and Universal Studios and did a lot of fun stuff. It was just really fun. I remember that very fondly. So yeah, that was probably my favorite birthday. If the A-Team ever makes it into Death Battle, what would be a great match for them? I don't know that much about the A-Team, but I do know what you're going for. Maybe the losers? I don't know, I think that could be pretty fun. Have you ever experienced a scary Home Alone moment? I don't think I've suffered anything too bad. I remember one time I was really young, I was home alone, and the power went out, and I didn't really know what to do. I didn't know what the right protocol was. I didn't know if I was gonna be okay, but that's really just the extent of it, just when I don't really know what's gonna happen, and that was when I was really young anyway, so yeah, nothing too bad. Is there a chance Paramount can make a Shadow the Hedgehog solo movie? I think that's possible, but they might want to introduce Shadow into the Sonic movies first. When exactly that's gonna happen, I can't really say. What What creepypasta scares you the most? I would probably say Sonic.exe, only because I have a really bad memory of when I was first introduced to him when I was really young, and that memory is just stuck with me and it's still in the back of my head. I don't really have a memory with any other creepypasta like that, so yeah, I would probably just say Sonic.exe for that reason alone. Are there any video ideas that you have other than your usual content? There are some other video ideas that I have, but a lot of them are really just on the back burner because I need to put a lot of focus into the videos that I do consistently on the channel. I do some other videos from time to time, like the AI dungeon video I did with my brother. That was a lot of fun, but yeah, it's hard to say when I'm gonna get to those videos because there's just other stuff that I have to focus on. If you had the time, would you rank every season of Death Battle besides season 7 and 8? That would absolutely take a lot of time because there's a lot to consider, there's a lot to talk about, but yeah, if I did have the time, I might rank them. It sounds like a fun idea. What matchups from Brandon Yates' commissions do you think could make good episodes of Death Battle besides Deku versus Ms. Marvel and Spider-Man versus Ladybug? I definitely think that Goku Black versus Reverse Flash could be a lot of fun, and if they did it right, Doomsday versus SCP-682. It would be tough, and they may never do it, but I think that would also be a fun fight. Do you like classic rock, like Queen, Van Halen, Metallica, etc., and which one is your favorite? I like a lot of genres of music, including classic rock, but I don't listen to classic rock that much in the grand scheme of things. The only classic rock groups that I listen to consistently are Queen and Metallica, and of those two, I would definitely go with Queen. Which symbiote would you want to partner with? Venom, Carnage, Anti-Venom, or Toxin? I would go with the Toxin symbiote because it's still a very powerful symbiote and it seems like one of the easier ones to control. So I would say Toxin. Have you ever watched Paradise PD on Netflix? No, I have not seen it, but I do have Netflix, so who knows? Maybe I'll give it a try one day. What is your favorite season of Death Battle? I like a lot of Death Battle seasons, which kind of goes without saying, but I would probably say season 5. It's just the one that's easiest for me to go back and watch and have fun with, so I would say that one. What is your least favorite character that Death Battle has used? I would say Justin Bieber, but if you're looking for a different answer, then I would probably go with Daxter. And I'm not trying to offend anyone who likes Jak and Daxter or who likes Daxter specifically, it's just there was always something about him that really bugged me, even before I knew who he was. When I just saw him around, there was always something about him that I just didn't like. I don't really know what it is, but yeah, that's just me. I just don't really like him that much. What is your least favorite season of Death Battle? It's between season 1 and season 3. 1 because it was the roughest patch, and 3 because I just have the most individual problems with it. I would probably say 3, but still, it's pretty tough. Do you care if a death battle is wrong? I don't really care whether or not Death Battle gets a fight quote-unquote wrong, but only because I feel like I don't have that authority to say whether or not they did. There are a lot of people who like to say, oh yes, this Death Battle was wrong, or this Death Battle was right, as if they somehow have some higher level of authority over Death Battle, even though it's all just opinions. So I don't attribute that level of authority to myself, and frankly, I don't think anyone should attribute that level of authority to themselves, even though I know a lot of people do. But I don't take Death Battle as fact, I take it as their interpretation of a fight, no matter what they say, and I'm not one to get angry at that. Would you rather be in the Pokemon world or the Digimon world? I think I'd rather be in the Pokemon world just because I'm more familiar with it, and I think it would just be fun to battle Pokemon and to catch Pokemon, you know, wild Pokemon and stuff like that. I just think I'd have more fun in the Pokemon world than in the Digimon world, but that's just my opinion. Would you rather be able to run fast or slow down time? That's pretty similar to the question, would you rather be Reverse Flash or Zoom, since that's pretty much how their powers work. But I think I would rather have super speed because I just think it would be more fun. Slowing down time would be fun too, but I think having super speed and just, you know, feeling the speed and everything like that, I think it would just be a lot more fun. Is there a character that you would root against in Death Battle just because you don't like them? That's pretty tough for me to say because there aren't too many characters that I hate so much that I would always root against them. Maybe Cyclops from X-Men, he annoys me sometimes. He's done some pretty bad things. I don't know, that's just my opinion. It's hard for me to say. Who would win, you or Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet? Well, one of us is nearly unstoppable on the grandest of cosmic scales, and the other one is Thanos. So yeah, there you go. Do you think Kirby versus Mega Man X will happen on Death Battle someday, and who do you think would win? I think it could potentially happen. I don't know when, and of course I don't know if it will, but it might. And when it comes to who would win, I would go with Kirby. I think Kirby is just a lot more powerful, but Mega Man X is still no slouch in his own right. What's poppin' in your life right now? A lot of things are pretty good right now. You know, YouTube's doing really well. I'm doing a lot of stuff with work. I'm talking to a lot of great people. So I'm pretty busy these days, but it's still pretty good. What is your favorite JoJo part and why? It would either be Battle Tendency or Stardust Crusaders. Battle Tendency because of Joseph and Stardust Crusaders because of Stans. I'm a simple man. Have you seen Infinity Train? If not, I recommend it. Unfortunately, I have not seen it, but thank you so much for your recommendation. I really appreciate it. Jotaro versus All Might. Based on what was said in Death Battle, Star Platinum would probably be a lot faster, but All Might would probably be a lot stronger and tougher. But again, I don't know if all of that is completely accurate. It's really hard to say. I might want to go with All Might, but I'd want to do more research on that. I really don't know. Froppy versus Yoshi. Based on the scaling that the Mario universe gets, I would probably say Yoshi for the win. My Hero Academia is still a very powerful world, but I think that Yoshi would probably come out on top. Will Death Battle do Deku versus Gon? I think that's definitely a possibility for later down the line. Deku versus Gon is probably not my preferred Deku matchup, and Deku does have a lot of potential opponents, but yeah, it could definitely happen. Yang versus Machamp. I do not see Yang's aura holding up against anything like the seismic toss, so I would say Machamp. What are your thoughts on Froppy from My Hero Academia? I know that she's a major favorite for a lot of people, and I like her as well. I think she's pretty funny. I probably don't love her as much as a lot of other people do, but still, I think she's a good character. I think she's good to have around. If Froppy were to be in Death Battle, who would she fight? As mentioned before, she could fight Yoshi if she ever came to Death Battle, but there are other opponents for her, like Toad from Marvel and Greninja from Pokemon. I'm not sure which one I would prefer above all the others, but yeah, those are the opponents that I keep hearing for her. What do you think of the versus show called Fan War from One Fish Mob? I unfortunately have never seen it. I don't think I watch as many versus shows as you guys might think. There are still a lot that I just haven't tried. What is your preferred matchup for Deku? Personally, my preferred opponent for Deku is Ms. Marvel. I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that because there are a lot of potential opponents for Deku. A lot of people want to see him fight someone else, but that's just my opinion. I would like to see him fight Ms. Marvel. What do you think of Ethan Anthony versus Mordecai Jacket? The first one I'm not really a huge fan of because, like I said before on this channel, fights that involve YouTubers don't really appeal to me. They're just not really up my alley. And for the second fight, I don't know the characters that well, but it sounds like it could be fun. Gohan versus Invincible. I would have to say Gohan. Invincible is still really strong, but I think Gohan just has more raw power at his side. But that's just my opinion. What would happen if Marvel crossed over with My Hero Academia? Well, it would probably be a crossover between X-Men and My Hero Academia since they're very similar, and with that, they would probably either be a lot of bonding or a lot of suing. That's just my guess. What makes a good matchup idea? I feel like a really good matchup idea has a good mix of everything, like connections, dynamic, potential, debatability, how interesting it is, etc, etc. If a matchup has all of those things, or at least most of those things to a good degree, then I feel like that makes for a really solid idea. What are your thoughts on Kong from Kong the Animated Series versus Zilla Jr. from Godzilla the Series? If we're using those specific versions of the characters, then yeah, I think that could be pretty interesting. I personally don't know that much about the characters, but still, I think it could be fun. Luigi versus Zenitsu. That is actually a really interesting idea, but I would probably say Luigi because again, Mario scaling can just get really ridiculous. If King Kong were to come to Death Battle, who would he fight besides Godzilla? It is really hard to try to find a good opponent for King Kong. The best one I can think of right now is maybe Mothra, but even then I'm not in love with that idea. I feel like better ideas do exist, but if they do, I'm just not thinking of them. Luke Skywalker versus Invincible. I think if we're including legends, then Skywalker is just way too powerful. Again, Invincible is very powerful, but I just don't think he's on the same level. What's your preferred Kratos matchup? I would probably say Kratos versus Dante. I know a lot of people want to see Kratos versus Asura, and if you want to see that fight, that's perfectly fine, but I personally lean more towards Dante. What are your thoughts on Freddy Krueger versus Scarecrow? I think that would be a very interesting fight, but I don't know that much about Freddy Krueger. I would be more hyped for Scarecrow versus Mysterio just because I know both of them better, but Scarecrow versus Freddy Krueger could also probably work pretty well. What's your preferred Invincible matchup? As of right now, I would probably say Gohan, but to be perfectly honest, I haven't really given it that much thought, so this opinion could change tomorrow or just soon at some point, so yeah, I don't know. Who should Tai Lung fight if he ever got on Death Battle? I would probably say Kintaro. I think Feng Wong is another good choice, but my preferred matchup would probably be Tai Lung versus Kintaro. Are Homelander and Omni-Man each other's best opponent? If not, who would they face? I think that fight is perfectly fine, but I also think that these characters have other good opponents that work really well. For example, for Homelander, I could see Homelander versus Titan. I think that'd be pretty cool. And for Omni-Man, I think Omni-Man versus Bardock would work really well. But that's just my opinion. Who should fight Nami if she were to get on Death Battle? That's actually hard for me to say. Maybe Lucy from Fairy Tail could work well, but I know some people want to see her fight Ash from Pokemon. I don't know. I think I'll just say Lucy for now. Do you like cheese? Yes, I think cheese is really good. I should probably eat less of it, but I do like it a lot. Drake and Josh or iCarly? I only ever watched iCarly, so I would say iCarly over Drake and Josh. And by the way, is anyone else excited for the revival? I'm really excited for that. Do you like turtles? Yes. I like turtles. Do you think Filthy Frank can beat Goku Black in a fight? Could he? Yes. Would he? Yes. Victorious or Zoe 101? I didn't watch either of those shows that much, but I definitely watched more Victorious than Zoe 101, so I would say Victorious. What would you do if you could stop time for 6 minutes? If I can only stop time for 6 minutes, there really isn't that much time for me to do anything beneficial or to do anything that really helps me out, so I would probably just play pranks on people, like being in one place and then being in another place immediately, whereas for me it would be 6 minutes, of course. But yeah, probably something along those lines. Silver Surfer versus Black Racer. I kind of want to lean more towards Silver Surfer, just because when he goes all out, he has some really powerful abilities and hacks, and he's just really powerful, and I feel like that kind of stuff that Silver Surfer has proven tough for Black Racer before. But I could be wrong, Black Racer could win, and either way, I think it could go either way. I think it's relatively close, but yeah, I would lean more towards Silver Surfer for now. Goku versus Flash. Realistically, I think that Flash should take it. He's much faster, he has much better abilities, and I feel like when it comes to the upper limits of his power that he can get with the Speed Force, it's just too much for Goku. But that's just my opinion. Is there a fight that you'd want to see in Death Battle but you don't think would happen? For me, that's Dark Willow versus White Violin. I think it would be awesome to introduce everybody to those characters. They're both really great characters and it's a really cool fight, but I don't think those characters are popular enough for them to actually do it. It'd be great, but I think it's unlikely. If you were in Ruby, what would your semblance be? I'm not caught up with Ruby at all, so I'm not sure if this is already a thing, but I would say something along the lines of transmutation, like changing one form of matter into another, or just changing one thing into another thing, something like that. I think that'd be really fun. Are you excited for Venom Let There Be Carnage? I am excited for it because I'm excited to see our first live action Carnage ever, because I love Carnage so much, but I didn't really like the first Venom movie that much. That's just my opinion, so I'm just hoping that I like this one more than I did the last one. Would you rather be a Jujutsu Sorcerer or Hashira? I think I would rather be a Sorcerer just because all of it seems more up my alley, like what I would be fighting and what abilities I would have. I just think I would like it more. Would you rather go to the DMWA or Beacon Academy? I would choose Beacon because then I would get a gun weapon, I would hopefully get a semblance, and I think having a talking weapon would just be really annoying after a while. So yeah, I say Beacon. Do you watch Jujutsu Kaisen? I have not watched it, but I am aware of some elements of it. It seems really unique. I might want to try it someday. Have you heard of Sonic for Hire? I have heard of it, but I'm not sure what it is exactly. I don't know. I might go find out after this. Have you watched Fate? No, I have not watched Fate. In fact, I wasn't even too aware of it until fairly recently, but it does seem pretty interesting. I may give it a try at some point. Who should Light Yagami fight in Death Battle? Trying to find an opponent for Light in an actual fight situation is really tough. Maybe Riddler? I don't know, it's hard to say. Sandy versus Applejack. This is one where it really just depends on the upper limits of their Toon Force and the Toon Force scaling of their worlds. I kind of want to say Sandy would win, but I'm really not sure. Maybe Applejack has something or she scales to something that puts her on top. It's hard to say. Null versus Lord Death. Unless Lord Death is a lot more powerful than my understanding, I think Null just has him beat. Null is just broken beyond repair. How strong is Stoneheart from Miraculous? I believe Stoneheart has one feat where he like damages part of the Eiffel Tower or something like that. I don't know all of the details of that feat, so I can't say exactly how strong that is, and that might not even be his best feat. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, he's not like ridiculously strong, like too strong for the miraculous world or anything like that, but he would still be pretty darn strong. Daz Bones versus Riposte. I have a feeling that the One Piece scaling might put Daz Bones on a higher level, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't know all of the scaling or anything like that. Right now I'll go with Daz Bones, but I can't say for sure. Which franchise do you want to see in Death Battle fighting a miraculous character? Honestly, the only miraculous fight that I really want to see on Death Battle is Spider-Man versus Ladybug, so for that point alone, I guess I would just say Marvel. Raven versus Mewtwo. From my understanding, Raven at her maximum power is much more impressive than Mewtwo at his maximum power, but that's just me. Blake versus Cat Noir. If you really want to lean into the miraculous scaling, then Cat Noir might be stronger and faster, but Blake would definitely be more versatile and would have more tricks. I feel like if Cat Noir could catch Blake, then yeah, he could definitely win, but I could also see Blake just outmaneuvering him. It's tough to say. Iron Fist versus Geese Howard. While Iron Fist is definitely faster and the better fighter and just more experienced, it could really all depend on how you interpret their scaling and how powerful they are, because there are some feats that you could scale Iron Fist to that would make him really powerful, but you might not want to scale him all the way up there. It's tough to say. Same goes for Geese. I think though that Iron Fist has more advantages in general, so I think the safer answer is to go with him, but I could be wrong. Who would Henry Stickmin fight in Death Battle? I'd personally want to see him fight Fancy Pants, but I feel like Henry is one of those characters characters where you could pit him against a lot of different opponents and have it make sense, at least to some degree. So I would say Fancy Pants, but I could totally understand if people disagree. Liu Kang versus Iron Fist. This might depend on whether or not we're talking about Liu Kang with his god powers. If Liu Kang doesn't have his god powers, then I definitely think that Iron Fist would win, but if he does have his powers, then I think it's hard to say. Maybe Liu Kang, but I could also see the case being made for Iron Fist. Would Silver the Hedgehog make an appearance on Death Battle soon? I could definitely see that happening at some point. We know that he has opponents, some probably more favored than others. I don't know whether or not it would be soon, but it could definitely happen later. Do you believe DC and Marvel will make some agreements one of these days? Well, apparently there's some talk about Disney buying DC or something along the lines of that, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. If it did ever happen, or if they ever came to some agreement in some way, shape, or form, it would probably take a long time and a lot of negotiations. So maybe, but I don't know. Who's your favorite pyromancer? I would probably say Natsu, unless Human Torch counts. I know he doesn't really, I just wanted to throw him in there. Mecha Goose Howard versus Dummy. Mecha Goose Howard. He never loses. Hellboy versus Alucard. My gut is telling me Alucard, especially if we're looking at him at his maximum potential, but I'm not 100% sure. Although I'm not sure if Hellboy would have the right tools to kill Alucard, but if he did, then it would just be based on if he could actually keep up with him. It's hard to say. I'll say Alucard for right now, but I really don't know. Mr. Luthor. Ah, damn. Here comes the foot dive. Eddie versus Jimmy Hopkins. I kind of want to say that Eddie would win just because I think he has better physical capabilities and greater physical feats. I could be wrong, but I'll say Eddie for now. Animaniacs versus the Eds. This is one that gives me a headache because I've heard arguments for both and I think either one could win. It's so hard to say. I feel like it's really just how you interpret them. I kind of want to say the Eds would win, but I'm not sure. I would definitely want to do more research before I gave a definitive answer. Would you be excited if Spider-Man versus Ladybug was announced as the next death battle? Yeah, I think I would be. I think they're both really great characters. I think it would be a fun fight, and I think it would be a good way to start off the second half of Season 8. So yeah, I would be. What would be your reaction if Hiccup and Toothless versus Hero and Baymax was announced for death battle? I would be so freaking excited, man. These are great characters from great franchises that I love. I think it would be a really awesome fight. I'd love to see Death Battle analyze it. I would be able to die happy. I would be so excited if it was coming. Juggernaut versus Archie Knuckles. I kind of want to say Archie Knuckles right now, but apparently some of the base Archie characters got bunked or something like that. I don't really know all the details, and it might not even be really legit. But either way, I think that Knuckles could do it with his Super Knuckles form. I think maybe he could pull it off. I don't know. Right now we'll say Archie Knuckles, but I wouldn't be surprised if Juggernaut actually does win. Do you prefer Blue Beetle versus Generator Rex or Max Steel versus Generator Rex? I think I would prefer Max as Rex's opponent, but I wouldn't be too disappointed either way, though I do know some people have really strong opinions on that. But yeah, I don't really. I'd be fine either way. Do you think creepypasta characters should be on Death Battle? I think they could be on the show, but maybe only against each other, or maybe not. Maybe it's more of a case-by-case basis kind of thing. I'm not really sure. I think either way they would have to be handled with caution, because if they're not, then things could get really confusing and really weird to say the least. But nonetheless, I do think it could happen, at least in some way, shape, or form. Do you like eating shoes? Only on weekends. And anything above a size 9.5 is just really not good for my health. Say vote the Loud House now, or I will crush you with a green boot after going to the past. Well, looks like you're gonna have to go to the past and kill me. Go ahead, I dare you. Oh, shit. Has there ever been a who, when, and why that you regret the outcome of? Obviously, Winter Soldier versus Red Hood is the big one. However, that's not to say that there aren't other episodes where I don't disagree with certain aspects of them, or certain aspects of the analysis, etc., etc. Whether or not that actually extends to the outcome of the episodes, though, would require a bit more thinking. Are there any movie franchises or TV shows that you think need to stop? I think we've probably had enough Fast and Furious movies. I don't think we need any more than the 9 that we have, plus Hobbs and Shaw. I think we're good. If you disagree, that's fine, but that's just my opinion. I also don't want to see any more Joker movies. I know we've only had one, but I think that the one we have right now is really good, and I don't want to risk any sequels ruining that. I feel like an existence of a sequel could actually ruin it, because I think just having the one and having that be the origin story of the Joker, and then leaving the rest of it up for your interpretation, I think that's perfect. So personally, I don't want to see any more Joker movies. If you disagree, that's fine, but that's just my opinion. And that brings us to the end of the Q&A. Guys, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please give this video a like, comment your comments down below, subscribe if you could too, that would be amazing. But no matter what you guys do, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, that's it for me. I will see all of you guys in the next video. Peace out.